Hello friends, welcome to Smart Solution. I am Nikhil, your geography mentor, and today we are starting with our first chapter of Standard 8, Resources. So in this chapter, we will understand what are resources, how to classify resources, um, their uses in our day-to-day life, and at the end, how to conserve these resources and why conservation of these resources is important. To start with, we have a story of Mona and Raju. So Mona and Raju were helping Amma to clean their house. They look at the following things: clothes, utensils, food grains, combs, this bottle of honey, etc. So while cleaning their house, they found all these things. Each of these has use, said Mona. So Mona said that all these things that they find during cleaning, all these things have got some use, and that is why they are important. Um, so um, the next thing is since we have all the things in our house, we use them for one or the other purpose. Since all these things are useful to us, they are of importance. So these are all resources, right? So anything which has got a use to us or any living thing, they are called as resources. So what is a resource was Raju's question to Amma. So Raju, see, like us, Raju is also asking his Amma, what is a resource? Anything that can be used to satisfy a need is a resource. So what it means is anything or anything substance, any object that is in our house or in nature like trees, animals, lakes, rivers, mountains, mineral ores, all these things they have some use to us. They satisfy our need in general. So all these things which satisfies our needs, they are called as resources. Okay. So look around you and observe. You will be able to identify many type of resources. So there is an activity for you. What you have to do is you have to look around you in your house, in your school, or during you are playing on the ground. You have to find out the things that are useful to us and write down or make down a list of these. So all what would be all these things? These would in general be resources. The water you drink when you are thirsty, the electricity you use in your house, the rickshaw you use to get home from school, the textbook you use to study are all resources. So these are the different examples, water, it could be food, it could be electricity, it could be clothes, it could be fruits, it could be your bag, laptop, your mobile that you are using to watch this video, or your um, laptops in general, you can say. So all these things they fall under a category of resource. Why? Because they have got some value or they have got some use and they satisfy our need. Your father has prepared a tasty snack for you. The fresh vegetables he has used are also a resource. So in general, your father or mother or parents, they prepare food every day. They use different type of vegetables. They use gas, that is a liquefied natural gas, to heat these vegetables during preparation. They use water, they use utensils and n number of other things. So all these things, these are resources. Okay. So water, electricity, rickshaw, vegetable and textbook have something in common. Okay. So as we see or as we saw all these examples, they have something in common. So what is that? They have got some use and hence they have some utility. Okay. They have been used by you, so they have some utility. So whatever things we use in our day-to-day life, they have got some use, and so we can say that they have some utility. So utility or usability is what make an object a source or a resource. So any substance or any object that has some utility, that is we can make use of that thing. So all these things that have some utility like objects or substances, they are all called as a resource. Okay. So next, so how does something become a resource? Raju now wants to know. So Raju is asking his Amma like anything, how does it turns to be a resource? Because everything cannot be a resource. Amma told the children that things become resource only when they have a value. Okay, so what his Amma is saying that anything that has got utility but also it has got some value in addition to utility. So when these both thing appears to a substance or object, they are called as resources. Its use or utility gives it a value. All resources have some value, said Amma. So see, in general, if you say you have 1 kg of sugar, so what does it mean? You have a sugar. You can make an different type of products from this sugar. For example, you can make ice cream, you can make tea, you can make sweets. All these things you can make from this sugar. So it has got some use. So it has a utility, and in addition, see, you have paid some money to the shopkeeper to bring this sugar. Okay, so this also has got some value in terms of money. Or if you want to sell this sugar to someone, you will ask for some money. So in addition to utility, there is some value to this substance or sugar, right? But do you think that every time there would be some money or any value involved? So let us see. So value, what does it mean? Value means worth. Some resources have economic values, some do not. So in our day-to-day life, we use different resources. Some of them have value and some of them do not have. For example, metals may have an economic value, a beautiful landscape may not. So whatever substances that you purchase from shop, they have monetary value. That is, you pay for them in terms of money. But there are few objects or substances for which you do not pay in terms of money, right? So examples of substances that have monetary value are metals, pen, pencil, all the household products in general. And the things that do not have monetary values are air that we breathe, right? We do not pay anything for air that we breathe. Second, shadow of trees. So when you are traveling, if you sit below this shadow of a tree, you do not pay anything, right? Similarly, you go to visit to different places, you see different beautiful landscapes. So these all landscapes, they do not have any money value, right? Because you do not pay to see these landscapes. But though we do not pay for these things, they have value, they have some use, and hence they are also resources, right? So two important things about resources: resources have some utility and they also have some value. Some resources can become economically valuable with time. Your grandmother's home remedies have no commercial value today, but if they are patented and sold by a medical firm tomorrow, they could become economically valuable, right? So for example, if there is a resource which do not have monetary value today, it could happen that in future it may be recognized to have a monetary value. Say for example, if you see situation in COVID, what was happening? Air or oxygen, right, that we require for our breathing, it is freely available. We do not pay anything for this oxygen. But during corona situation, people were requiring this oxygen and they were paying enormous amount of money for this oxygen, right? So there are situations in life when some resources which do not have economic value may turn down to be much more economically valued. So what are the things that leads some resources to become economically valuable? So what are those things? There are two major things like time and technology. So if there is change in time, say during COVID, so some resources that did not have economic value were turned to economically valuable resources. And second thing is technology. Say for example, if there is change in technology and we know how to manufacture or make products from some raw material which initially was not possible, so Now you can make some different product from some material or some resource which was initially not possible. So this technology has changed this resource from non valuable or non economical to economical resource. Okay, so time and technology are two important factors that can change substance into resource. Both are related to the needs of the people. People themselves are most important resources. It is their ideas, knowledge, invention and discoveries that led to creation of many more resources. Okay, so you can see that this time and technology are the two important resources, but in addition to this, you may wonder how people are resources. Do you think that people are resources? Yes, absolutely. People are resources because everything that people require, they comes from some ideas. People have got some ideas, so these ideas are converted into different products. The knowledge plays an important role in converting any raw material into product. So people in general, they get education, they get higher education, they have some ideas, they know how to convert these ideas into product and make new inventions and discoveries. So you may have seen that many scientists, many entrepreneurs, those who run businesses, and many new discoveries are being coming up. Every day you may find a new product in the market. So where does it come from? It all comes from human mind. So people are the most important resources, right? Because it is the people who make different resources useful or unuseful and use different technologies to make different products. Each discovery or invention led to many other, and you can see that these discoveries and inventions, they are like a chain. One discovery will lead to other will lead to next. See, for example, if there would have not been electricity, then we could have seen that there would have been no mobiles, no TVs. If there would have been no mobiles and no TVs, there would have been no internet. If there would have been no internet, there would have been no online education, right? So this is how one discovery and other discovery is related to each other. The discovery of fire led to the practice of cooking and other products, while the invention of wheel ultimately resulted in development of new modes of transport. So these are the very important discoveries in human life or human development. First was fire. So before the fire was discovered, human was unable to cook food. He used to eat raw meat and raw vegetables or fruits. But after discovery, he was able to cook vegetables and cook meat as well. So that was an important discovery of fire. The second is discovery of wheel. So pre discovery of wheel, human was not able to have very easy transportation facilities. With discovery, he developed a wheel, and with that came different mode of transportations. The technology to create hydroelectricity has turned energy in fast flowing water into an important resource. So this wheel like arrangement, it is also used in hydroelectric power plants where water is impinged or thrown on these wheels, and because of the pressure of this water, these wheels rotate. These wheels are further connected to generators, and these wheels, when they rotate, or in general they are called as turbines, not wheels. So when these turbines rotate, they rotate the shaft of generator, and which then produces electricity that we use in our day-to-day life. Okay, so is this clear? We have seen three things till now. First is resource. What is a resource? Any object or any substance that has got some use, they are known as resources. So two major characteristics of resources. First is utility. They have some use, hence they are called as to have some utility. Second is value. So what is value? Value can be economic, that is it could have some money value or it could not have money value, but it should have some value, right? So yeah, so these basically, see, these resources, from where do we get all these resources? We obviously get from this nature. Or are we able to produce any resource from ourselves? No, we have to take any raw material from nature. We can use it directly or we can use it after processing, right? So basically all these resources, they originate from nature. So we have to see now type of resources. So in general, if you see, we can classify all these resources into two broad or three broad categories, but the important one stands as natural resources, human made, and human. Okay, so let us look at the natural resources. So resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modifications are called natural resources. So any resource or any object that is derived from nature, but we do not modify it much, we use as it is. The substance that we use as it is called as natural resources. Okay, so you can see the examples as fruits. We get fruits from plants. Do we make any modification to this fruit? No. What we do, we just get fruit from the plant and consume. So that is what is called as natural resources or natural resource. Second resource, what it could be, it could be, say for example, water. If the river is clean, if the stream of water is clean, we can directly get this water and drink. Water from wells, bore wells. Nowadays we use some filter, but initially during few years back, if you go, there were no filters. People used to consume water directly. Okay, so all these things that we get from nature and we use them directly without any modifications or without more modifications or much modifications, they are called as natural resources. So the air we breathe, the water in our rivers and lakes, the soil, the minerals, all these are the example of natural resources. Many of these resources are free gift of nature and can be used directly. So most of these resources we get it freely from nature. Nature does not ask for anything in return from us, right? So all these are freely available. In some cases, tools and technology may be needed to use a natural resource in best possible way. But sometimes it may happen that we used to have some modern technology or some tools to use these resources. For example, if there is a bore well, you cannot go down in a bore well, right? You have to have some pump which will pump water to the surface. So these are the technology things that are involved while utilizing these resources. Okay, so let us look at the classification of these natural resources. Natural resources can be broadly categorized into two: renewable and non-renewable resources. Okay, so natural resources are further classified into renewable and non-renewable resources. So what are renewable resources? Renewable resources are those which get renewed or replenished quickly. So any resource that gets renewed or replenished quickly are known as renewable resources. Okay, so in general, these renewable resources can be said to be those resources that get renewed or replenished quickly. By quickly, here it means during a lifespan of human being, right? So in general, any resource that can get renewed or replenished within a century or within 100 years, you can say these are all renewable resources. Some of these are unlimited and are not affected by human activities such as solar and wind energy. So renewable resources, some renewable sources of energy or some renewable sources are in so plenty that our consumption does not change the quantity of these resources, or they does not affect these resources. So resources such as solar energy and wind, they are readily available. Whatever amount you consume, they remain the same. Okay, so, or have you seen that solar energy is nowadays reducing because till now we have used it? No, it is a constant source of energy. Yet careful use of certain renewable resources like water, soil and forest can affect their stock. Yeah, but what we have to do is we have to make this or use these resources carefully while using them. Say for example, if we do not use water properly, we do not conserve soil, and we just go on cutting forest, what will happen? Slowly they will start decreasing. Water pollution can take place, soil pollution can take place, and deforestation can happen, right? But we have to see to it that we do not make an excess use or excess harm to these resources. Water seems to be an unlimited renewable resource, but shortage and drying up of natural water resources is a major problem in many parts of the world today. So as we all know that approximately 70% of Earth's surface is covered by water, right? But still, all this water is not uh, drinkable because it is a saline water. So in spite of all these large sources of water, there is only limited sources of water for drinking, or approximately point half percent or half percent in general of the total 70% of water, right? But there are some areas where water is very rarely available, say for example in deserts, right? There are some areas where water is plentifully available, where there is high rainfall, so there is large amount of drinkable water. So these are the two contrast things, like some areas where water is not available and some areas where water is available. So what we have to do, we have to conserve this water. We should not waste drinkable water, because drinkable water, the resources are completely getting used up because of excess use by humans, right? So now let us move to second type of resource, non-renewable resources. So what are non-renewable resources? So the definition says that non-renewable resources are those which have limited stock, which has got limited stock, that is they cannot replenish or renew or regenerate themselves within a span of 100 years, you can say, right? Or very quickly. So all the resources that do not renew or replenish themselves quickly, they are known as non-renewable resources. So once the stocks are exhausted, it may take thousands of years to be renewed. So once they are used up, it will take 1,000 years to get renewed or replenished. Since this period is much more than human lifespan, such resources are considered non-renewable. Since their renewal or replenishing time is more than human lifespan, they are called as non-renewables. What are the examples? So coal. Do you know coal? Yeah, the coal that was previously used in houses for preparing food or in trains for running, that is steam trains. Petroleum and natural gas are also some examples. So apart from this coal, petroleum products. What are the petroleum products? Like petrol, diesel, kerosene. All these are extracted from Earth's crust, right? So they are limited. Natural gas, again, yeah, we use it for our kitchen purpose, household activities, for running. Nowadays, we use also CNG for running vehicles. So all these gases, they also come from Earth, that is Earth's crust, and they also are limited. So once used up, they will take thousands of years to reform. The distribution of natural resources depend upon number of physical factors like terrain, climate, and altitude. So you have already seen, or you would have observed that all these resources, they are not equally distributed in the world, right? Say for example, there could be some resources at one place or one geography, but same resources may not exist in other part of the world. The distribution of resources is unequal because these factors differ so much over the earth. Say for example, if you say oil production is majorly done in Arabian countries or in some parts of USA, in Canada also, but it is not that everywhere you can find oil, right? Similarly, forests are found where there are hilly regions, high rainfall, there you will find forest. The area where there is less rainfall, like Rajasthan or Sahara desert, or even some other places, you will not find forests, right? So due to different terrain, that is different surfaces of earth, different climatic conditions and different altitudes, the resources changes. So next is human made resource. Sometimes natural substances become resource only when their original form has been changed. Okay, so in nature, as we know, there are different resources. Some may have use today, some may not. The substances that they do not have use today may find some use in coming days due to change in time and technology. So who developed this technology? It is human being who is developing this technology. Okay, so any resource that is changed by use of some technology and then further used, they are known as human made resource. So iron ore was not a resource until people learned to extract iron from it. So, iron ore, which is found again beneath the earth, if we do not use chemical treatment to extract iron from this iron ore, that is separate out iron from its original chemical mixture, we cannot make any iron rod or iron bar, and hence it has got no use. But since technology is available, what we do, we mine this iron ore, we get the iron ore from earth, we process it in some factory, we separate iron ore and unusable substance is thrown out, iron is further taken to secondary industry where it can form different products like grills, cars, vehicles, and n number of products. And now this iron can be used further, right? But how does it happen? It happens due to the human intervention or human technology. People use natural resources to make buildings, bridges, roads, machinery, and vehicles, which are known as human made resources. Technology is also a human made resources. So, all the resources like building, bridges, roads, machinery, vehicles, all these are made of some material that we get from nature, but after processing it, right? After use of certain technology. So, all these resources which are made by human efforts or by human resource, these all are known as human made resources. Okay, so technology, what does it mean? It means some modifications into the system or some modifications into the change in our working abilities. So this is also made by human efforts, because we always try to make things efficient, more easily done, right? Some people like us use natural resources to make human made resources, said Mona, nodding in understanding. Yes, said Raju. So human resource, yeah. So up till now we have seen what are human made resources, the resources made by human. Now we have to see what are human resources. Okay. So people can make the best use of nature to create more resources when they have the knowledge, skill, and technology to do so. That is why human beings are special resources. People are human resources. So as we said that all the human beings, we go to school, we learn different type of things, then we post graduate, we get some job. Whatever we have learned throughout years, we use that knowledge in our job, where we develop different technologies or different products, right? So all this process like gaining knowledge, gaining skills, utilizing them for use in our day-to-day life or in any of the activities. So what we do in general, we use this knowledge to change some resource from nature into a special product. Say for example gold. Do you know gold, where does it come from? It comes from nature. Initially mining is done, we get some gold ores, then we have to process or do chemical processes of these ores to separate ore from this gold or separate dirt from this gold. So then we get pure gold. Then this pure gold, it goes to some goldsmith where he will give a beautiful shape to this gold, right? But how does it he give? Because he has some skills. So with his skills he will give different shapes to this gold, and then we can get different gold jewelry or different various shapes, right? So this is how gold is prepared, but that is prepared because people have used their mind, their technology. Okay, so in general, a person who enhances his skills, who has got abilities, who has got some knowledge to change or modify resources, these peoples, they are called as human resources. But does it mean that every person can be a human resource? No. The people, those who do not use their knowledge for improving resources, for improving their life, or improving society, they actually are not human resources. So what are the major things? How human can become resources? So that is because of education and health. Education and health helps in making people a valuable resource, improving the quality of people's skill so that they are able to create more resources is known as human resource development. Okay, so there are two major things in human life. First thing is human being requires education, and second thing is he must be physically fit, that he should have good health. If a person don't have good health, then he could not be a good resource, because he will always feel sick, he will not be physically fit to do any work. Added to that, he should have education. So developing a person's ability with the help of these two factors, that is giving him a good education and giving him best health, so this will lead to creation of human resource. Okay, so now we have to see what is conserving resources. Why do we have to conserve them? Mona had a nightmare. She dreamt that all the water on the earth had dried up and all the trees cut down. There was no shade and nothing to eat or drink. People were suffering and roaming around desperately looking for food and shade. So there is a story now. So Mona had a nightmare. She had a dream that all the water has dried up and the trees were cut down. So all the water available on the earth is dried up and all the trees are cut. So what will happen? Obviously, there is nothing to eat. People were roaming, they are wandering desperately to look for food or water. She told her mother about the dream. Amma, can this really happen? She asked. So when Mona discusses her dream with her mother, she says that, Mom, can this situation really exist, or can this situation really come into place in future? So Amma said, yes, if you are not careful, then even renewable resources can become very scarce, and the non-renewable one can definitely get exhausted. What can we do about it? Raju asked. So Mona's Amma replies that yes, if we do not conserve, if we do not properly use resources, then the day will come when these resources will be exhausted, they will be polluted. So we have to make some proper decisions when using these resources. So using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. So what does resource conservation means? Whenever we are using any resources, we should use them carefully. We should use the quantity that is required only, and we should not extract so much that it get exhausted. We should give sufficient time to these resources to get renewed or replenished. So all these activities, they are called as resource conservation. Balancing the need to use resources and also conserve them for the future is called sustainable development. So next is sustainable development. What does it mean? So whenever we are using resources, we must clearly budget, or we must clearly count how much resource is required. Whatever amount of resources required, only that should be used. Added, the remaining resources, they should be conserved. We should take every action to see to it that these resources are conserved. They are not polluted, they are not destroyed. They should be handed over to future, as our parents have handed over them to us. So this balancing the need of resources and also conserving them for the future generation, this is known as sustainable development. Okay, so there are many ways of conserving resources. There are different ways. Each person can contribute by reducing consumption, recycling, and reusing them. So, how do we conserve resource? Say, for example, if you are using, or if you have different bulbs or appliances in your home, so while moving out of home, what you should do, you should close all the bulbs. You should not allow any of the bulb to light during daytime, possibly, so that you can reduce the resources, because electricity comes from coal, and if you waste electricity, we will have to use more coal to produce more electricity. Similarly, things are applicable to water. If you see a tap flowing, you should close the tap. Whenever you need water, you should use, but in case if you are not using or not using water, you should close the taps, because studies has been done that even a single drop of water wasted per minute, it will lead to a huge loss of water throughout year. Several barrels or several liters of water will be wasted. So whenever we are using resource, we have to use them carefully, and also we have to take care to conserve them. Okay, so that evening, again a story, that evening the children and their friends made packets and shoppings bag out of old newspaper, discarded clothes and baskets from bamboo sticks. So all these children, they were preparing some handcraft works from the left out items. We will give a few to every family we know, said Mona. And Mona said that all these items that we are preparing, we will give to the families that they know, or maybe they live in their nearby areas. After all, it is for a very good cause, said Mustafa, to save our resources and to keep our earth alive. So, see, one major thing is that anything that has use can be used multiple times. Say, for example, we use in Indian culture, we use clothes to wear, right? After they are worn out, we may make some blankets out of that, and in this way, we use a single resource for multiple uses. So these children, what they have done, they have taken some discarded packets or discarded bamboo sticks, you can say, or even newspaper used out, and they are preparing some handcraft out of that. So she is preparing some purse, this boy is preparing some type of object, you can see. The girl over here, she is closing the tap when the bucket is full. This boy is closing the lights. Say, for example, he would be closing a fan or a bulb which is lighted up. So all these activities, they are towards conservation, right? So I am going to be very careful not to waste paper, said Jessie. Many trees are cut down to make paper, she explains. So this girl says that I am going to use these papers very precisely because these papers come from nature. Trees are cut to make papers, and since if I waste paper, it means that I am possibly increasing the chances of cutting more trees. So I should not do that. So in our day-to-day life also, we should not waste paper. I will see that electricity is not wasted in my house, shouted Mustafa. Electricity comes from water and coal. Mustafa also knows that he should conserve electricity because electricity is produced from water and coal. Every time he wastes electricity, he is wasting water and coal, right? So in this way, you should see that we in our day-to-day life do not waste any of the resources. So I'll make sure that water is not wasted at home, said Asha. Every drop of water is precious. So this girl, Asha, she also adds that I will also conserve water by not wasting it. Whatever quantity is required, we should use that. Together we can make a different course the children. So children shouted together that yeah, with all these activities, by properly conserving or proper utilization of resources without wasting them, we surely can make the difference. We will be able to conserve resources. There are some of things Mona, Raju and their friends did. What about you? How are you going to help in conserving resources? So these are all the things that Mona and Raju are practicing to conserve resources. But how about you? You should also adapt some knowledge, some philosophy to conserve these resources in your day-to-day life. Say, for example, when you are going to school, possibly you should go by a common vehicle, not by possibly by a car, because if every student or every person he tries to use his personal car, there would be requirement of huge amount of fuel like petrol or diesel. But as we have studied now that petrol and diesel, they are non-renewable resources, right? So if we use them very rapidly or consume them very fast, they will be end. We won't be able to use them, or we won't be able to pass it on the substances to the further generation, right? So we must properly use these resources. Second thing, we must build our houses such that the natural sunlight automatically comes in our house, so that we require less electricity to light our houses, at least during daytime. So these are the different small suggestions that you can adapt in your day-to-day life. So here are also they have given some all uses of renewable resources are sustainable. The diversity of life on the earth is conserved. The damage to natural environment system is minimized. So we should ensure that our efforts should be such that all uses of renewable resources are sustainable. That is, we should take care of resources while using them. The diversity of life on the earth is conserved. Diversity means that there are different species of plants and animals. If environmental condition changes, these different life species may uh, go off, that is they will no further exist. Say take the example of dinosaurs. In early days there were some dinosaurs, but since the environmental conditions on earth changed, the dinosaurs are no more visible, or they are not live, they have been completely dead out. Similar things can happen in future, because as we see that the number of rhinos, single horn rhinos or cheetahs or lion, tigers, these all species they are in less number, right? So we have to see that we do not harm this, we do not create an environment where these animals cannot sustain. So that is what the damage to natural resource system is minimized. So we have to minimally damage the natural environment so that we do not change the environment a lot. So what, how you can do that? You should avoid throwing garbage on the roads, you should avoid cutting the trees more, you should avoid uh, dirty water into the water streams. So all these activities you should take up. Some principles of sustainable development. So we have seen what a sustainable development is, but in addition to this, there are some points that you can wonder upon, like, or use upon for making a more sustainable development. So respect and care for all forms of life. So what it means, as we discussed rightly, plants and animals, there are different species of plants and animals. If you see the ecosystem in general, this ecosystem, it is a complete cycle in which all these plants and animals react, or they are required. If there is disappearance of even a single form of life, it, the complete chain is destroyed. Say for example, if we take the case that snakes, if all the snakes are dead on the earth, what will happen? Can you tell? Yeah. So rabbits in general, they are enemies of farmer. What does not rabbit, sorry, rats. Rats are the enemies of farmer. So what these rats do? So they eat crops in the field. They destroy the crops in the field, right? So if you see, the snakes in general eat rats. So when snake eats rat, it helps farmer by avoiding all the destruction of the field that would have been caused by rat. Now when the snake is dead, say for example a vulture will eat them, right? But if the vulture is not there, what will happen? Lot of snakes would have been dead, they would have not been eaten up, and it would have spread a mess, very dirty smell everywhere, right? So the next, that this vulture is required. Now when the vulture is dead, who will eat them? There are some microorganisms in the earth that will decompose this vulture. So now you see there is a chain, like initially we started with farm, then rat, then snake, then vulture, then microorganisms in the earth. So any one link, if it moves away or if it is destructed, then the complete cycle is destroyed. So what it means? So respect and care for all form of life, improving the quality of human life. So principle, the second principle of sustainable development is to increase the quality of human life. Whatever efforts we are doing, whatever technology we are developing, that is to improve the human life. But how it should be improved? It should be improved with conservation of resources. Conserve the earth's vitality and diversity. We should be able to conserve the earth's vitality and diversity, because as we know that different geographical areas, different altitudes, different climates, they have they are responsible for different landforms, different environmental landscapes, and different resources are diversified according to this conservation. So if we do not conserve earth, then it may have happened that some resources that are available in certain region, they would completely get exhausted or destroyed. Minimize next is minimize the depletion of natural resources. So we should take care that the natural resources are minimally depleted. We should take care that land pollution is not done, sound pollution or water pollution, air pollution, all these pollutions are reduced. Change personal attitude and practices towards environment. So in order to conserve nature, what we have to do, we have to be engaged in some activities that will conserve environment. So we have to adopt some good practices. For example, when not in use, shut off the tap. When not in use, shut off the bulbs. When not in use or when possible, travel by common modes of transport like public transportation facilities. Don't use your personal vehicles. Do not waste resources. All these things can be added up. Enable communities to care for their own environment, and we should develop an attitude where each and every community or each and every person is responsible for maintaining his environment clean, right? So all these things, they form the principle of sustainable development. So if you follow all these things, you can live a better prosperous life, and also you will use these resources very carefully, and you can get much more out of these resources. Further, with the help of these principles, you will be able to transfer these resources from present generation to next generation. Okay, so this was about all your chapter, that is resources. So hope you have understood what the resources are, how to classify them, what are their uses, what are human resources, what is conservation of resources, and what is sustainable development. Okay, so thanks for watching this video, and if you have any comments or if you have any queries, you can write in the comments. Please do subscribe our channel and let us know if you need any special videos on any of the topics, and we can bring them to you. Thank you.